Hi, I am so excited to be here with, I guess, what we would call like the second part of your card reading course. And this is where we're going to dive deeper into oracle card readings, different types of oracle card decks. I've got all of my oracle colors, I like all of them out. Let's just have a quick preview of this situation. Yeah, so and some more here. I mean, that's not all. I have a couple others like hanging out that I didn't pull out, but that's almost all of them. So very, very excited for this. In fact, that's the topic of this video right here, is different types of oracle decks. And then in the next segment, which you can always skip ahead if you have an interest in specifically in tarot, we're going to dive into tarot in the next segment of classes. So when we talk about oracle cards can give you a lot of different information, and you can pick and choose what styles fit you, what kind of themes might fit you. Something that I loved when I first started getting into cards is I could very easily attach to themes from my childhood that I liked. So I loved fairies. Just loved fairies. Tinkerbell was definitely my favorite Disney character. And even the idea of my guardian angel, she materialized almost like a fairy when she was communicating with me, and then she would go off and almost like a hummingbird when she was traveling about the world, so she could remain pretty discreet. So I got a bunch of fairy decks. So funny. Some of my original decks I've gifted out. I have no more fairy decks right now. That is so interesting. That I've sort of graduated. I can only have so many decks on my shelf, I guess, is what it comes down to. So I use the deck. I love it. I resonate with it. I learn from it. I integrate those learnings, and I don't necessarily need that support of the deck anymore. There's mermaids you can start with. Angels are a very, very popular one. In fact, I do have a couple of angel decks here. This was my very first deck ever, so I can't get rid of my very first deck ever. I just can't do that at all. Ever was this Archangel deck. This one was a close second. I invested in a card reading course, one presented by Doreen Virtue and Hay House. I'm not sure if they even do it anymore, because Doreen Virtue's kind of got some differences of opinion now on some of the decks of cards she created. So anyway, this is all something that's an easy way to get started. These cards are really wonderful because, and I love Hay House cards. You might not be able to get these exact decks. Maybe you can still, but a lot of their decks, they have information on them. There's cards that you can get. Let's see. Sacred Traveler is another deck that's a Hay House deck. It's one that has words on it. I'm just thinking of ones that I have had. Soul Coaching is another really beautiful one. This one's here, our Archangel one. It tells you about the different maybe spiritual gifts that angels support. Tells you about different things going on. So there's ways to get started. You don't need to know a lot about cards or angels, because it'll actually teach you. It'll teach you as you go along. So very, very closely related to that, then, of course, you can get Ascended Master decks, Goddess decks. I went even further. These have a compilation of different Ascended Masters and Goddesses in these, and I don't think you can get this one anymore. This one's not being made anymore. I'm so happy to have a copy of this one, and maybe even potentially this one. Again, that's kind of what's interesting when, authors come out and change their processes. I went deeper. I got the Magdalene Oracle, the Kuan Yin, she's a goddess. Isis, she's another goddess. Now these are published by Blue Angel. All of these decks are published by Blue Angel, as well as the Mother Mary. So there's Hay House, there's Blue Angel. I'm telling you, all these different publishing companies. So you have a way of going out there and researching, okay? Seeing what fits you. So you can see I kind of went a little crazy. This is why it's nice to have a reader that has a deck obsession, because you don't have to own the deck yourself. You can just contact your reader. So another deck that's really fun that you can find on, a couple decks that you can find on Hay House, just to bounce around back over to there. This Wisdom of the Oracle deck. Look at the size of this book. So I wanted to draw attention. This is a hefty, hefty book. We've got close to just about 200 pages here. 199, like, so we're there. You could just read the book alone and gain so much insight. And of course, I do recommend that as you purchase new decks or invest in them as a way of really integrating the cards, the messages, the flow of the deck even, you know, is to just go right there in order and read everything about the cards. These are so beautiful. These are almost like dreamscapes to me. Here's the Soulmates card. I love this one because penguins are like one of my seriously favorite little animals, just favorite ever. Look, but there's like so much going on here. You know, you've got one of them's holding a key. What does that mean? You know, there's always a picture of hidden somewhere. There's a face there of almost looking like the guardian looking over that situation. So here's another one. This one's an even more like super abstract one. This one's the Higher Power card. So these are really beautiful cards. These are, again, Hay House, the Yang card. Tell me that you wouldn't be able to learn what that energy means and really, really, really integrate, like, you know, what's yin energy, what's yang energy. Well, you have this really powerful image. This is another one of my favorite cards, is the Conflict and Chaos card. I showed this card to my kids one time and they were like, that's a zebra. It looks like it, but it's like a giraffe. You know, they had a little bit of that, that chaos and conflict. So, but you know, these are supported. This deck in particular can give you relationship messages or prosperity messages. And then also, when the card comes up upside down, much like tarot, a lot of oracle decks don't go into card reversals. This also gives you a protection message to go along with the reversed card. Okay, so there's so much. Here's another deck that actually I love this one. I don't use it very much, but I have it, and I think it's because I really love the author, Sonia Choquette. If you're just beginning to open up psychically, like as a psychic, that almost sounded like cyclically. If you're beginning to open up psychically, her books are so beneficial. If you're wanting to teach your children how to connect more with the spirit world, or just how to talk to them about it so they don't lose their connection. Kids don't need to learn how to connect more. They need to learn how to not disconnect. Okay. She's got some wonderful books on that. So those are some tips beyond this. So this Fool's Wisdom card deck has some, this is the Meaningful. So it's like kind of a play on words. Okay. And it has some words at the bottom to help you remember what's going on. This is the Handful. Another play on words. This is the Soulful. So when you use this Fool's Wisdom, after I got into tarot, which we'll talk more about later, I really was intrigued by the Fool card, the very first card of tarot. And so this isn't a spin-off of that. However, it helped me sort of understand and integrate the meaning behind that card without being deterred by it, like that it was some sort of insult being called a fool. Because this deck really helps you. So the Fool is like the archetype self identity of ourselves. It's the archetype of our inside identity that just calls the shots like they are. And isn't afraid to point out when you're being a fool or when you're ignoring signs. So that's kind of like, that's where the Fool's Wisdom came from. Every time I pull out the deck, I want to use it. So this is a meaning to me not to gift this one away just because I don't use it with clients or anything like that. So those are a couple of oracle decks that deal with card reversals. I'd say that most of my other ones don't necessarily deal with card reversals. They just have one card meaning. This is a really fantastic one. Judy Hall is an author. This is the Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle deck. She's an author and she's written all sorts of crystal Bibles. So when you're getting into crystals as a support for your healing practice or your metaphysical learning or whatever it is, sometimes it's hard to buy crystal after crystal after crystal. Lapis lazuli, look how beautiful. Charoite, this is actually what the ring on my middle finger right there is made of. And I got the idea to go look for it after getting that card in this deck. So these cards are infused with the energy of the crystals. So you don't have to go out and buy the crystals. Some of them are hard to come by. Some of them are expensive crystals. You can lay the crystal on the part of your body that you're working with for healing. You can sleep with it under your pillow or next to you, or like slide it under your mattress, I mean, it doesn't really, just put it near you. So these crystals have healing properties. These cards have healing properties in them. And by the way, this oracle book, I love this one because this deck in particular, Crystal Wisdom Healing, it taps into past life connections to things. It taps into how to heal from what's going on based on which card you chose, which crystal you chose. It's an amazing, so it does more than just teach you about those specific crystals. It's actually a divination. It's a divination tool as well. And you guys know I love past lives. So let's see, what's my other supporting oracle deck for past lives. I have a tarot deck for past lives as well, so I'll show you that in the next segment of videos. Here's our past life oracle deck. So this one has scenes from different places that would come up in a reading potentially, different things that we might need to look at that could be connected to our past life, what's going on, a health issue is connected to a past life. It's connected to, an issue of you being a male in the previous lifetime, or maybe your soul is just new to the gender that you've decided upon. And so that's creating some differences. So there's all sorts of, there's the orphan card, even cards like wisdom that are going to teach you that you will gain more wisdom by going deeper into wherever you're working at. So this also comes with I don't use the guidebook much for this one. That's why it's shoved in the bottom. But it comes with a guidebook as well. Gets you a good starting point. I love this. And this is another Doreen Virtue one and Dr. Brian Weiss. So I hope they still have this one available. If not, go buy them just in case. That's what I say. When in doubt, just buy them all. So there's other fun decks. This one's a long video because I just want you guys to understand there's more than one deck to suit your needs. Maybe you don't want a deck that a bunch of people have, and that's okay. It's totally okay to not want a deck that a bunch of people have. So you go on Amazon and you pull up card decks and you type in just keywords. And mine was, card decks for your soul, and the soul trees came out. And these are some beautiful cards that have images of trees. That one says assurance. So there's this one here. This is the strength card. This one here. This one's gratitude. So different. Oh, look at that. Birth. The tree even looks like it's pregnant. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if that makes sense, but it does. So there's these cards. Very few people have these. I mean, they're just not, they don't go on sale for $5 at Christmas time like a lot of the Hay House decks will. I mean, I'm serious. You can get a lot of decks for a great deal on the Hay House website at Christmas time. But these ones that fewer people have, there's not much of a book with them. Also, this is the book. This is the decks. And it's great card quality. This is called Soul Trees. Now everybody's going to go get this one. Your inner power card. The Be Open card. Look how the tree indicates. This one also has the 7 chakras as well to let you know what's going on if that's your root chakra card. So this is a really great deck. Again, super connected to you using your own intuition, because that's the book you get with it. This is another one that's a different one that has some words like this talk to your guide card, return to nature. This is all with divine feminine power. This is the Mystic Rebel Oracle deck. It's got images of females all over it. This one's the create and express is what that card says. Create and express. She's playing her guitar. Have faith. This life purpose card. Learning what your life purpose is bigger than you. This is how I see this image on this card. So there's beautiful, beautiful different choices of oracle decks out there. It's not something that you need to limit yourself. I think that there's a deck for every purpose. I have a moon deck that I pull out. This is the moon deck and guidebook, and this one has some of the pictures are really cool. They look like sketches, okay, and I really love them. They also have words on them. The instruction booklet has rituals to go along with it. So it's an easy way to pull in the moon. The moon gives us so much power. If you follow the moon, if you follow what's going on in the solar system, it'll give you so much understanding in what's going on with you emotionally, what's coming up for you to release, what you should be working on. Then you're going to dive into your astrology, and then you're going to come around and want to get into your Akashic Records someday to learn who you are at a soul level. It's all going to be great. And it starts with cards. Okay. You know, I have card decks that I just work on for myself. You know, this Wisdom Keepers. This goes along with the Gene Keys. Sort of, I figure it's like a decade-long bit of research I'm doing about myself. I have the Archetype deck that I tend to just use with myself. I haven't really figured out how to work them into readings with other people. So, you know, I got a lot of decks that like this one here. This is Postcards from Spirit. I only use this one when I'm feeling sad about my dad, and I just want, you know, I want like a sweet postcard from Spirit. So I'll pull one out. And it tells me a nice little message. There's this beautiful, looks like a real postcard, and it's got a message. So again, it's harder to use these ones in readings for other people, so these are great ones for yourself. Okay, they're great ways to mix them in with your different reading. I'm going to talk next. We'll probably go in the next video. We're going to talk next about doing an in-depth 3-card reading, okay? And then we'll talk about adding on multiple cards, or multiple decks for an even more in-depth reading. I'll give you the secret of one of my favorite spreads that I've made for myself. So go ahead, get yourself a couple extra oracle decks, and sit down and enjoy.